Good morning, friends. I'm Niti the pharmacist, and welcome to the United States of America podcast, broadcasting live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Raleigh, North Carolina. I grew up in Charlotte, y'all, so I still kind of have a tendency to say that. Anyway, welcome. Today, I'm so excited to be able to introduce you all to Shannon. He's the Military Affairs Liaison for the Federation. Welcome, Shannon.
Morning.
How are you doing today?
Getting up and getting moving and getting life started.
Well, welcome. Thank you for making time to join us this morning, this afternoon, and speak with us today about the militia. I'm really excited. Today we get to learn, you guys, about the militia. We get to learn about how the sheriffs operate. We're going to learn a lot from Shannon today. Shannon, do you know where you want to start?
No clue.
Why don't we define the militia?
All right. Now, that's a very fun one. Militia. As you know, Niti, language changes. Language gets butchered, and people just change meanings of words just for the hell of it. All right, break it down. Nowadays, most people hear militia. They think right-wing fanatics. They think Waco. They think insurrectionists. A body of armed individuals, or as defined by the United States government as of 1947, body of armed paramilitary individuals in direct opposition of the government is what the United States, lower cases, blah, 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 define a militia as. Now, that's probably how they see it. Now, let's go back to the 1590s and how the English, as much as I'm not fond of Brits, use that phrase. The militia was an organization of citizens with limited military training available for emergency services, be it disaster relief or local defense. Or you want to go more new age, go to the colonies when all this started up. A body of soldiers in service of a sovereign or state, as well as available for help and, I can't even talk right this morning, help and support within their state for all emergencies. So break it down. People nowadays think militia, they think Waco. But the true meaning of a militia, what's the difference between a militia standing up to fight bandits in the Old West of the local town militia? I think they called it a posse back then. Or there's a flood coming. Get all the able-bodied men and women in the militia together to throw sandbags. There's a food shortage. That's right up your alley there, Niti. Get the militia together to help gather resources and make sure that it's not one person hoarding it all. But unfortunately, in today's society, militia has been banded as a bad word. But break it down, at the core of it, it's an organization of neighbors helping neighbors.
Simple. It's the people. We the people.
That's right. It's no different than Niti has a problem with someone stealing her cattle and me sitting out there one night because she doesn't have a working gun or because she's out of town. Ain't no different than me sitting out in the pasture going, try it. It's the exact same thing, just on a bigger scale.
Shannon, I don't think people realize that we should be able to call each other and say, hey, someone's threatening me, and that we should all care about each other and we all just kind of stand up together.
Well, by the definition of the original colonies, everybody in a colony standing up to argue against something, like the coal miner, the coal plant owner that uses child slavery. Everybody together in that community standing up and stopping it could be loosely defined as a militia.
Is it loose? I think that's a militia.
Well, no, because if it's everybody in the community, it would include young'uns, it would include the old and infirm, it would include those not fit and able-bodied. By militia definitions, it's fit and able-bodied adults.
Gotcha. I've heard that a lot of militias had young boys that were really good with their bows and arrows.
Well, here's the question about it. Depending on the era, what is a young boy? When the colonies came about, a 15-year-old was a man and should have property and be farming and tilling and working it. Yep. Today's society, personally, I know some 30-year-old young men, young boys.
The dumbing down of America has been, and the world actually, you know, I mean, this has been the bane of society because they want everybody to, you know, be in need at all times.
On the government tit.
Right. They want someone to save them. So everybody's expecting somebody to come save them at all times. And what we're trying to do is promote radical self-reliance, because that is actually the traditional American way, isn't it?
Yes. Like I said, you say there were young boys there. Well, what's your definition of young boys?
I think that it's interesting when you know people who are living on the land like I do, and they're boys that are 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 who know how to shoot rocks. They know how they are, you know, from a very young age are out there and they're learning the truth about life and death, because on a farm, there's life and death all the time, you know, and they're having to manage that because, you know, maybe a baby piglet got frozen, you know, because it fell into the water. And
like pre-frozen supper.
Yeah, water trough, and or in a puddle for that matter. You know, they've found animals that have fallen into a puddle in the middle of a cold rainstorm and it was frozen by morning. Mm-hmm. You know, and then so someone has to deal with that. And the people who are alive that are managing the land, which would include the whole family, would include the children. Those things weren't hidden from the children. They're not hidden from the children. And
every summer, my kids raise a pig each, and we slaughter it come spring.
That's
my
right.
kids understand that. But I actually had someone ask me once when I was at the grocery store buying food. I wanted some steaks. I bought a steak, and someone, honest to God, asked me, well, can't you, why would you kill a cow for food? Because it's food. And they were honestly incensed, and they thought free range meant that no animals were hurt. They were arguing with me over buying regular steak versus free range steak because they thought no animals were hurt in the making of free range food. They honestly had no clue.
I think the problem is Disney. I think the problem is Disney. I think that when you try to have animals talking and acting as if they have conscious awareness of themselves when they don't, it is a problem. Animals don't have awareness of themselves. They're not as advanced of a species as we are, and then we're not equal.
No. If we were equal, why aren't we the ones in pens?
I mean, are we not in pens? I think we might be.
Those of us on the land and soil aren't. We'll leave it there.
Huh?
Those of us on the land and soil aren't, but you know.
Right. I think that we have to redefine a lot of things. We're all having to learn a new language. And so I'm really excited to have you on today to help us explain to the assemblies and to society at large that, you know, can you define for us and explain to us, like, what are continental marshals? What is a peacekeeping task force?
Actually,
peacekeeping task force. That's a good one. That's interesting, right?
Well, until about a year and a half ago, unfortunately, I was running that show, and it was it's a necessary thing, and it's a good thing. It just ate up a lot of time for me. But okay, simple way to put it: marshals. Okay, we've all heard of the U.S. Marshals. Well, what most people don't know is originally there were U.S. Marshals and Continental Marshals. until the government did away with the Continental Marshals. I don't exactly remember which year. Anna could tell you year, day, date, and hour, but I can't. But the Continental Marshals basically are on our side. Pardon the pun. For instance, Continental Marshals deal with international crime, crimes between, crossing state lines, because sheriff can't cross state lines. Marshals can. They deal with child trafficking, slavery, all the stuff that comes across internationally. Okay, then we've got your county sheriffs and state sheriffs, right? Unincorporated sheriffs, duly elected by the assembly after proper vetting and proving that they know what they're about. Then we've got the militia, which we've already discussed what their definitions are. Okay, think about analogy. Rice Krispie treats. One little colonel's the marshals. One little colonel's the militias. One little colonel is the sheriffs. The marshals, pardon the expression, are the marshmallow part, not the marshal, the PKTF, Peacekeeping Task Force, is the marshmallow that binds them all together, coordinates, educates, organizes, and holds it all together amongst all of them so that it's not just different entities talking amongst themselves. And what good does it do if something crosses state lines, a sheriff can't go after them? What happens if the marshals don't know? So the PKTF is kind of like the marshmallowy goodness that binds everything together and keeps communications going. The organization for each, the training for each, the documentation about what each duties and roles are. That's what the PKTF is there for.
So you're saying that the sheriffs and the marshals and militia all fall under that?
No.
Within it?
No. It's all part of one thing.
Okay.
You can't have a Rice Krispies treat without Rice Krispies. Otherwise, you just got marshmallow goo.
Gotcha. It's the glue.
It's kind of like the glue that make the intermediary for communications.
So everybody's part of the Peacekeeping Task Force on some level.
On some level, we all are, yes. Just like in theory, every able-bodied adult is part of the militia. Be it your ability to provide food in a drought and a hunger issue, or my ability to go and hunt food, or Cynthia's ability to operate a ham radio if communications go down, or a million different things. Everybody has a talent that could be applied.
Yes. So when we're creating the Peacekeeping Task Force, what are we looking at in the way of committees? I got some questions here for you.
I see them rolling quick.
Yeah, let me just pull one up. We've talked about, so the Peacekeeping Task Force Committee specifically.
Okay. In the Federation, we do have the Peacekeeping Task Force. We have Joe, who is the head of the PKTF. I'm going to just shorten it down because I'm getting a mouthful saying Peacekeeping Task Force, PKTF. Okay. There's a committee amongst the Federation who makes sure that Joe stays on track. If there's something we see that needs to be looked at or improved on or changed, we talk amongst ourselves, and Joe is a part of those conversations. He is a part of that committee. Now, that's at the Federation level. If we go down to the assemblies, okay, in my opinion, every assembly should have at least one person that communicates with Joe in the Federation PKTF that puts it out to the assembly as part of the assembly. Now, if you have enough people, let's say you've got 2,000, 3,000 on your state, right? Okay. The committee would be more, how do I put this? Round table. Because the problems with that California or North Carolina, there you go. The problems North Carolina faces that needs to be addressed by militia, sheriffs, marshals is going to be different than the situations faced by Alaska.
Different than the situations faced by, we got kind of a
Alaska.
Got it. We got
For
that
instance,
Alaska internet going on here. Let's just know that.
Yeah, I'm up here in the Great North where I like it. But there are going to be two different problems that the PKTF would need to recognize for different states.
Got it.
And Joe's trying to see it from all 50 states' point of views. Now, poor Joe, do you want him calling 180 different people from every state to find all this out? No. But let's say California knows it's got this issue coming up. Their PKTF task force can talk about it amongst themselves, figure out where the PKTF can help. They need better militia training for flooding, for fires, for God knows what with California next. Mother Nature's having a field day over there, okay, people?
Yep.
Okay,
is it Mother
fire season's coming, and California's militia needs more training in fire relief.
Got it.
Well, yeah, it's just common sense that's something I see and know from the news. You understand?
Sure.
But let's say it wasn't a common knowledge. They could let Joe know, hey, what does the PKTF, who's in charge of training, have for us in the way of fire relief training? Rather than Joe sitting here scratching his chin going, oh, California's on fire again. Wonder how they're doing.
So the federation level is providing education and oversight.
Yes.
Okay. And then each state should have we're going to hope to have a roundtable, perhaps from our counties or something of that nature.
County level, state level, yes.
Got it.
Because I don't know about
I'm trying to write this out and make like a little flow chart for us, right? So,
well, like I said, I don't know about you guys down south. For instance, Wasilla has different problems than Fairbanks. We're still in the same state.
Right.
12 hours drive, but we're in the same state.
Gotcha.
So if only thing they only hear about is the stuff from the main state out of Anchorage and the Valley, well, what's Fairbanks doing?
State, county, cities, towns, whatever. Got it. And it's about training. This is where what we're wanting to emphasize on the general population right now is that America isn't a nanny state. We're not supposed to be like, we do love each other and care about each other and we want to take care of each other. But the whole point is for us to be radically self-reliant as we were. I mean, you could watch The Waltons or Little House on the Prairie or something if you want to understand something about that. The Wild, Wild West. I don't know. John Wayne.
Little House on the Prairie is not really historically accurate, but okay.
Yes, it's not. But they did build their house from scratch, which a lot of people right now can't even understand. It's just considering where
construction, yes, I do understand that.
Considering where we are, where people wouldn't know what to do about getting food if it wasn't at the grocery store. How to step it back. And, what is the Militia Affairs Committee?
Okay, once you have a fully formed Militia Affairs Committee, okay. Organization, if you will. Okay, I'm an able-bodied man. In case of emergency, I could do a lot of things. I can't operate a ham radio. I don't know how. So would they want me to be part of communications?
So we're going to...
I know a decent amount about agriculture.
Did he freeze up?
Did I freeze up? You seem to be glitching a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard. Go ahead.
But okay, would you want me
there
to
you are.
for communications? Heck no. If Cynthia here is a guru of the ham radio, and she's part of the fully formed militia of able-bodied adults. Well, okay, then I guess we need to have her doing radio. Oh, he's big, he's strong, he ain't too bright. We want him to throw sandbags. This guy has military experience and understands how firepower works. We should put him on, like, say there's disaster relief of famine. Well, we need to make sure that he's part of the team that enforces equal distribution of the food. The Militia Affairs Committee is kind of like the organization squad, if you will, of the militia, because not everybody has talents in every area.
Perfect.
For instance, I wouldn't expect, okay, prime example, young Eric on a son. Good kid, incredibly brilliant, just like his mother. He wouldn't know how to dress down a moose if his life depended on it. But he's incredibly brilliant, like in the ways Anna is. He's been learning at her hip since he was born, I think. But would I expect him? He doesn't know how to dress down a moose. I'm hoping to fix that this season. But where would you put him? Where would you put the ham radio operators? Where would you put the agricultural people who can grow food? We all have our niche of what we're good at. Once you have a fully formed militia, the Militia Affairs Committee should organize everybody into what they can do. Communications have gone down, EMP, government, whatever conspiracy theory you want. There's lots of them. Okay, are they going to try to get me on a ham radio? But if Cynthia here knows how to do it, that's who they want to get a hold of.
Right.
But if they come to my house and say, hey, we can't get a hold of anyone, my answer is going to be, me neither.
So this person would just be an organizer and a delegator that can look at the talents that are there and delegate out those authorities to the people who can get them accomplished and just organize the process.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, I got another one. We're going to kind of do like a rapid fire Q&A with you, okay?
Roger Dodger.
All right. What are the militia's role in enforcement?
That's a sticky one.
I love it.
Of course you would. Okay, generally, a situation that arises that is too large for the, let me see the exact definition if I recall. Give me a second. A situation that arises that is too great for the sheriff of county or state to handle, and when he is in need of extra personnel, he can draw forth on the militia as a role of deputy sheriff for enforcement. But that's getting sticky, and it has to be, how do I put it? In dire need. How's that for a definition exactly from Anna's articles?
Right. What's dire need?
That's why it's a sticky question.
Right.
My idea of dire need might be different from yours.
Well, what I understand is currently we got people who are trying to be in the middle of creation, and they think that it's dire need because they're enforcing things. And it isn't the place for enforcement.
No, it is not. Not unless they are drafted into service by the sheriff, which I believe has to be authorized by the assemblies. So unless the assembly sees the problem that the sheriff can't handle bandits at the border, pardon my expression, going historical, and they say, call up the militia, or what was it I called it earlier? Posse? And the militia's just acting on their own, that is not legal.
Right. Lawful.
Lawful, thank you. That is not lawful. It would have to be at direction of the sheriff after authorization from the assembly.
Yes. And so can you please talk? This is just my question. Shannon, can you please speak on how sovereign people don't police themselves?
the theory is sovereign people should not have to police themselves if you go with the proper theory of it. In theory, we should all, pardon the expression, my religious perspective, obey the laws of God or nature or Buddha or Allah, whoever you want to worship. There's room in hell for all of us. But how do I put this eloquently? I don't have near the eloquent speech that Anna does, so give me a second if you would. It's not so much that we have to police ourselves as we should be acting in the good of the country, the nation, and others anyway.
Do you mean that we should love and honor and care for each other?
Yeah, that's the natural way of it, in my opinion.
Right. So do unto others as you want others to do unto you.
I never have liked that statement.
Make it your own.
Well, do unto others as you want others to do unto you still makes it sound like you're doing it for selfish reasons.
Well, you are doing it for selfish reasons, because if you don't honor yourself, you can't honor anybody else.
Well, true, but if I only treat you politely and respectfully, so you do it to treat me the same way, do I honestly respect you?
No.
I'm just doing it to get a response.
No. I have to honor myself by honoring you. It's not the other way around.
I agree, but most people who go with the do unto others theory, they're doing it for selfish reasons. They don't really honor that person. They don't care about that person.
Oh, they don't understand the words. Because to do unto others as you want others to do unto you, meaning you have to first love yourself. But I digress. I forgot. The de facto has trained everyone to hate themselves, and they're not allowed to love themselves because, they're not supposed to care, not even about themselves. So I digress. But I will put it out there for everyone to realize and know that you have nothing to give if you don't have anything for yourself first. So you do need to love yourself so that you have the ability to love everybody else. And with that, I just want to remind everybody, you are worthy beyond belief just because you were born worthy. You are important and you matter. And don't let anybody ever tell you anything else. And I mean that. And, it took a long time for me to realize that most people just have never been told that. And they're not allowed to even believe that. And I encourage everyone today to try to go walk up to a mirror and tell themselves how much they love them. Like, look yourself in the eyes and tell yourself how important you are and that you are worthy beyond belief and that you love yourself. It really changes everything. Now you talking about the linguistic stuff, people, they want everyone to believe that, this is narcissism. That's not narcissism.
No.
Can you get into what a real narcissist is like, Shannon? I bet you know.
Oh, I think I've dated a few. Narcissists are probably the main reason I have a disgruntlement with the saying, do unto one as you want others to do unto you. Because of the fact that narcissists use that such saying as a manipulative tool. And they can always flip everything around. Well, yes, I only did this because you did that. And it made me feel this way. And don't you say my feelings are wrong. Never mind your feelings.
Oh, we're back on the feelings thing. Cynthia, what you got to say about the feelings, Cynthia?
Yeah, sometimes feelings need to be kept inside where they belong.
Feelings will lead you astray. I feel like I need to go fishing, but I'm not going fishing because I got things to do. But it's do what's right because it's right. Not because somebody's watching you or somebody may catch you, but do what's right. Your children are watching if anybody else is. But you do those things and you'll have no issue.
Well, it's like it's called the shopping cart theory. When you go shopping at Walmart. You come back, you got your cart. Okay. You unload it into the truck. There's a cart rack for the carts 50 feet away. There's nobody in the parking lot. Nobody can see this. Do you just leave the cart or do you walk the 50 feet to put it in the rack?
I generally walk to put it in the rack.
Well, you can find out a lot about a person just by their response to that. I mean, do they hesitantly look around?
Right.
Or do they just ignore it and do it?
This brings us back to, common law, which is based in natural law, which requires you to take correct action. And I think that everybody's kind of stuck on that, and they're confused about that. But we need to talk about this when we address the militia, and as people are going out and putting their militias together. It's my experience, and observation and listening to everybody. They're so busy being interested in trying to control everyone, and they think their job is to control everyone, when actually nature's going to take care of this. Can you please elaborate on that, Shannon?
Okay, let's see here. Nature's going to take care of it, and the easy way to explain it. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that statement, but how to put it into words? I'm trying to figure out the words for it. It's like karma, except the way you phrase it is nature. You keep doing wrong, eventually it's going to come back and bite you. That's the best way to explain it.
Karmic law, God's law, natural law. It is exactly the Hermetic law.
Thing.
Hermetic law. These are all the same things, friends. And the Bible codifies natural law. Our Constitution codifies natural law. The Bible is a book of commerce. I don't think people really understand that. This is the thing I was trying to tell Anna, is that people don't get the feudal system, and that it operates on karmic law, on hermetic law, on this natural law. Everybody, all the players in this game understand this is legit real. What do you know about that in your experience as the military affairs liaison, Shannon?
Natural law, religious law, or common law, or as you put it, hermetic law? 100%. I have to agree with you on that, because you don't even have to really look that far back to see it. People, when I was in the military, I had this one officer, grumpy old cur, never happy. Nothing anyone ever did, even they did it perfect by the book, was good enough. Hermetic law had kicked his butt because he put himself through all this stress, and he wound up with ulcers and ended up getting a medical discharge. They were so bad because he stressed too much about everybody else, not worrying enough about himself. He ended up having medical issues from it. And all because he was just a grumpy, surly bugger.
Before.
I'll just match up in.
They also bring order. There's an order to a grumpy somebody. There's an order. Here in North Carolina, like I said, we have a new coordinator, and in 6 months, we've made more progress than we have in the past 2-3 years. Getting our assemblies, getting our committees, getting an understanding, doing education, doing outreach, and we work as a team. We're a team, not one person, all together. And those grumpy people, be it grumpy, have a certain order, and those orders are there. And they bring peace and calm. A mama that's in control of 8 kids is doing a fine job. A mama that's got one kid whose kid's in the grocery store doing cartwheels in the middle of the floor is not in charge. But I want to get behind someone who knows what they're doing, has a good head on their shoulders, is an excellent communicator. They can explain it to you. They lead with example. They're not holding their thumb on you, pressing you down, obstruct. They're not mean. They're not vicious. But you know what? there's something to be said about those people who can lead the pack. I mean, I want to get behind and run as hard as he's running and do with him because of just what's being put into it. I yield. Answer that one.
Wow, that's a lot to bloody take in and answer. Leave it to Cynthia to come up with the good.
Cynthia likes to.
Well, here's the breakdown of it, which, as much as I hate to say it, is yes, all men are created equal. Some people, as you put it, have that natural talent for leadership. I do not. I'll admit that. But some do. And those people, when you find them, I agree. You want to get behind them and go, as long as they're leading you in the right direction. Not everyone with that talent for leadership is leading you in the right direction. But I agree. Some people have that natural talent of leadership. Some people are educated and groomed to leadership. And some aren't. It's just nature's way. I agree with you. If you find someone who's a leader that's leading you the correct direction. What's that old joke? Be careful when following the masses. Sometimes the M is silent.
I'm loving some of these comments here. You know, they're just some good ones here. I'm going to start popping some of these up here and there. Well, question though. Well, if it'll go, hang on. Oh, I see.
Hit it with a hammer.
What is optimized method? There we go. What is the optimized method of training for others by militiamen? Just agree.
Actually, there are some things which need to be trained as individuals, some things that need to be trained as groups, some things that need to be trained by a farmer. Some things I can't step into a militia situation in Tok, Alaska when we're having flooding and know where I put the sandbags. I'm going to need some local to tell me the water in the last 20 years have always flowed up this way. Some things are OJT. Some things are classroom. Some things are group. That's where the PKTF comes in with all of their documentation and training that they can give you. But as much as they can give you, there's still some OJT.
On-the-job training for those not following.
I mean, break it down. There's some things that you won't know unless you're from that county.
It's all teamwork, just like playing paintball in a warehouse in the dark with lasers everywhere. If you don't know who's on your team, you may shoot your own team member. So you need to be able to work together and communicate. Important.
Right. I think also, you know, like we have someone here talking about the moral compass. Again, I just want to say, y'all, morality is not objective. This is the de facto training. Morality is objective. And under natural law, God's law, karmic law, the truth is always aligned with morality and lies are aligned with immorality. And if you're wondering if it's true or if it's the truth or if it's a lie, then you have to feel you know if it's true or it's not true because your emotions will tell you. If you have a thought about something and then you have a feeling about it and that feeling is like and you can't act on it, that's immorality. That's how you know it's immoral. Like when they tell you that you need to put something on your head because you're going to otherwise die. And God didn't bring you into this world with that thing on your head. So you don't need that to live and not die. So that would be 100% immoral. Unless you're doing a job where you're walking into a situation and you're sanding and, you know, you want to be careful not to breathe in something that you're working on, which is totally different.
The second one would just be self-protection from obvious. No one can argue that if you're sanding down a bunch of sheetrock, you're going to inhale sheetrock dust without a mask. But other things that they claim you need a mask for, well, you're breathing through it, aren't you?
That's right. Do we have any other questions, y'all, out there about, militia? Do we have any other questions about the marshals? What about, peacekeeping task force? Where are our continental marshals anyway? Do we not actually have those already set up in the military?
We actually do have continental marshals set up already.
I mean, isn't that part of our military?
What?
Sorry?
We have continental marshals set up already. I believe we've still got some states without because we are working. How do I put this? The requirements to be a continental marshal are above and beyond even that of being a coordinator. I've personally been the one overseeing the building of the marshals for the last 3 years, and they have a 200-question test that if they get less than 90% on, they have to try again in 6 months.
How does the Continental Marshals and the Continental Congress?
I have some kind of a delay here, Shannon. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. We're going. And that Continental Congress and the Continental Marshals, how are they going to interact?
Well, actually, I don't know at this point the answer to that. And I'd rather say I don't know.
Like free.
I'd rather say I don't know and
everybody else is
lie.
She's gonna just turn it over to us so we can talk about stuff now. Hey,
but yeah, I don't know at this point personally, and I'd rather say that openly and let me research it, and I can get back to you, Cynthia. But listen, I don't like lying.
All of the people need the information. This is not just about us. This is about everybody. So when we're asking about the marshals, the peacekeeping, how they meet, how they come together, what they're going to do in training, what our state needs. Part of us is ocean down here in the tropics, and part of us is mountains. So you've got from one extreme to the other, like you've got 10,000 smokes all the way down to Anchorage, 2 different environments. So when we get together and we look at our environment, some of our marshals are going to do this and some are going to do this. Some of our militia is going to do this and some are going to do this. And there's no way for us to say there's one way because it's all on the job training.
Yes. Not all, but a good chunk of it, yeah.
And we're going to have to learn to work together. If I can stress one thing that we've learned here is that the infighting does nothing to gain ground.
All it does is let them win.
That's exactly right. So in all of our progressive, we're waiting on getting a place to store some goods. We're looking on some places to reach out to our communities. We've blocked off the state in different quadrants. So we've got somebody here. If we have somebody that gets into trouble, they know where to come inside that quadrant of the state. We assume we would set our marshals. We would assume we will set our peacekeeping task force. We would assume our militia will all be set up on this circumference of those quadrants, and those quadrants will then train together and be ready to effectively step into position and do the work.
That's a good one. That's a hell of a method. But here's the thing. What works great for North Carolina won't work great for South Carolina.
That's true, but that's where they have to come together as a team. Looks like she's got a new question there. Go for it, Niti.
Oh, Lord, that's a story and a half.
How did Shannon come to know Anna? Is Shannon originally from Alaska? Folks are wondering where Anna is. And you guys, Anna is having some dental work done this morning. She was in a lot of pain. And we decided that we wanted to have a conversation with Shannon because we all need to understand what is going on with assembly militias. What is a militia? Continental marshals, the peacekeeping task force, the unincorporated county sheriffs. This is a big state. There's a lot of problems being created across the country. I think that Shannon can speak more powerfully to this, since he's responsible for this, for the Federation. But I thought, we all felt like this was a very important conversation to have. And I hope that all of you guys are paying attention. because we need to know how to do this so that we can actually get all our 4 pillars up. If we want to be different, we need to know how to be different. Right?
Makes
So,
sense.
you want to do this for us, Shannon? How did you come to know Anna?
Okay. I'm a plumber by trade. I got a call out for a clogged commode. It was at Anna's house. I start doing my job, running the sewer snake. And she's telling me all these things about what the government's done to us, what the proper laws are, the whole shebang. Of course, I'm sitting here, veteran, brainwashed, programmed. But I've always had a researcher's knack, and I've always loved looking into things. So here I am, honestly thinking this woman talking to me while I'm trying to fix her bathroom is absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the head. So I go and I spend about the next, I think it was like 3.5 months trying to disprove any of the dozens of things she said. Just disprove one of them. Prove that she's lying and that she's freaking crazy. Well, after 3.5 months, I came to a conclusion. She wasn't. And though where I am a plumber by trade, I also do carpentry, electrical, sheetrock, insulation. I do everything but concrete. And her house needed a lot of bloody repairs. And she kept hiring me and kept getting into good conversations. And I kept researching, kept trying to prove her wrong. This woman's got to be crazy. This can't be right. This has to be a lie. Well, by God and Begorra, everything she said was 100% true and was documented, backed up, and no way to prove her wrong. So then I got on the land and soil. Then I proceeded to continue working on her house and learn from her. And then when I broke my back and was, pardon the expression, living off my savings, thank God I had some, we still do conversations. Even though I wasn't working, I'd come over to her house for breakfast, coffee, and conversation. And eventually she asked me, well, okay, do you think you want to be involved now? Do you want to try this? Do you want to maybe step in and look into this for me? Okay, sure. Then it went, well, can you look into this next? Well, can you do this? Well, can you do that? Well, can you do this? Can you do that? And eventually, next thing I know, I've turned into one of her right-hand men in the Federation. And the running joke is my job title most times is duties as assigned.
What a blessing you are. We thank you for doing what you do for her and Jim. We thank you. Everybody out here, I'm seeing lots of people and we're praying. And listen, thank you, because she needed help. And we just want to express the thanks for just being a support, whether it's plumbing or fishing or helping Jim or taking part of her calls or doing whatever you do. We thank you for that.
Well, thank you for it. Thank you. But like I said, it snowballed after, well, could you do this? Look into this one little thing for me? When she discovered I was good at research. And yeah, pardon the joke, is snowballed. I worked myself into a harder job.
Well, we appreciate you very much. And you can now also be known as, Anna Filler Inner on the podcast.
One more job.
Hey, all of us need guidance. So we are appreciative and trying to create clarity for everybody about, what's going on. We got some of these style questions as well. Like we have a lot of folks who are coming back to the land and soil, and there's still the brainwashing for the de facto is still alive and well and very powerful. So he's asking, how can I find out if my sheriff is a Constitution sheriff in my county, which I'm pretty sure he's de facto.
Do you mean de facto sheriff or a unincorporated sheriff? Simple. Contact your assembly and ask them, who is our unincorporated sheriff? Somebody in your assembly should be able to tell you that. Like, I don't know, ombudsman?
That's correct. North Carolina does not have a sheriff at this time, so it is de facto. I got that one.
I think it's I think people think that 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 all of the policy officers are already aware of things. They don't really understand. I mean, when everybody in charge, supposedly in charge, like the policy officers, it's very confusing for the general population. And it's very difficult for them to understand and believe that this feudal system is alive, even when they've come back to the land and soil. Even when they've come back to the land and soil, there's still this. It's kind of like everybody's just going like glitching.
Hard reset.
Yeah.
I said, I spent 3.5 months after the first time I met and talked with Anna trying to prove that she was a crackpot. And then I spent another good 6 months still trying to prove she's a crackpot, but talking to her and listening. And after about 9.5, 10 months, guess what? I discovered she was not a crackpot. She was right on the money, and everything was provable. 100% correct, provable.
Yes. So we're back. We're up to like the last 10 minutes on the hour. Cynthia, what other questions do we want to make sure we get with Shannon? Because we're all putting together our militia handbooks. We're all putting together everything that we need for our 4 pillars.
Our committees, our spokesman, cooperation, working together, making sure you have the handbook and you follow the handbook. Without the handbook, you have no guidance. And if you don't follow Anna's articles and the information that she's put out, then you're going to end up in a ditch. Once you get in a ditch, it's going to be hard to get out and to get back on the narrow way. One of the questions we need to ask is, will Shannon come back sometime?
As Anna needs me to fill in, I will happily do so.
Well, we thank you for that. And listen, we appreciate all of the information. We appreciate the clarity, because I think now that people have so many questions that are coming up, and this is not the end of the road. This is just the beginning. As we form these groups, we get them together, we train, we get down on our belly and we crawl through the mud, we crawl through the creeks, and we do whatever, we work together. We're going to learn each other. And when we learn each other, it's when we start to make progress. Go ahead.
And 1 second, Griff the Grand, I see your message about the Granabites. Once Jim is out of the health scare we're currently in, she and I are actually going to start up Granabites again.
Excellent. Nancy's saying, how do you go about starting a conversation with your local sheriff? That's a good one.
Well, honestly, contact your ombudsman or whoever is in charge of organization in your assembly. Not everybody has an ombudsman yet, but whoever's in charge of that, if you have a sheriff, they can point you to him, get you his email address, and if it's applicable, possibly a phone number, and you can start your conversation.
Does North Carolina Assembly have an elected assembly chairman? I don't think we do yet. No. I think maybe Nancy, what she's asking here, and she can maybe clarify for us, is meaning like, do we want to talk to any of our sheriffs that we currently have existing and try to have any dialogue? No. What do you think, Shannon? No?
Like I said, not really.
Right. Don't talk to the police, everybody. There's actually a book that says do not talk to the police. What do you think, Shannon?
I've had enough interactions with the state police here in Alaska and the state troopers and local PD amongst Anchorage and the Valley. And it's all, well, when you're pulled over, there are correct ways to say and do things. At this point, they see me, they just roll their eyes, rub their forehead, and walk away.
we have folks that are in our assembly that are ex-military who were in situations where they were instructed not to mess with American state nationals. They were fully aware.
The cops here in Alaska understand the same. Like I said, it's reached the point that they see me now and they're just like, oh, God, I'm out. We're not going to trip this one up. We might as well not waste our time.
Right. Cynthia, you have anything to say in closing? I think we can wrap it up and we can look forward to next week. I don't think anybody has any more questions. I feel like we, appreciate your time today, Shannon. I think we've done a really nice job of creating a lot of clarity. I'm sorry, y'all, for my connection today. I've had some internet glitches over here. Hopefully it didn't interfere with any of the audio for everybody else in the video.
Oh, no, when you left us, we just went on our own rant and tirade.
We carried right on. So stay tuned. We're going to have more. We're going to have Anna back. We're going to cross some of the newest questions, which is going to be the Jural Assembly. We're going to ask more questions about each and every pillar as we stand it up, the business. We're going to talk about banking. That's coming. We're going to talk about money, what happens when you get money and how you deal with money. We're going to talk about everything. So tune in and stay close, because we're going to talk about everything. There's nothing sacred here.
Well, we hope you guys have a wonderful week. We love you so much, and we will see you next Tuesday.